Hey everyone, and welcome to another Siege and Sandfox live stream. I'm the designer on the project, Chris Wilson, and joining me as normal is Aidan Howe. And
It's me.
awesomely, my webcam has frozen. But you know what? We'll just keep going because we're never going to see it again. Goodbye, webcam.
You look so sad.
I know. I don't know what happened. Technology is the best. So, how about that video game we're working on? So for anyone who's just joining us for the first time, this is where we basically look at the latest build or the latest thing we're working towards. And the current thing at the moment is we're going to do a user research thing. We're going to send it out to some people and see how they get on. And the focus has really been improving stuff that we saw that people just didn't understand or we knew wasn't good enough after observing them playing. And a good example is actually all the prompt stuff. So from right away, this has changed. I don't know if you've seen these yet, Aidan, but Keith's got some lovely... They're animated, which is delicious.
They attract my attention.
I know, but they're not too... it's good. It's funny how, it's such a small animation, but we got so used to them being completely fixed before. Because before, I believe you just couldn't have them animated the way you did them before, which I think was like, they would just set textures, I'm not sure. But anyway, these are way better. And this one is another more exciting thing. It's something I spent some time chatting to Keith about, in that I do like the way this tends to work, in that I was reading some stuff about, making controls easier for people to understand, and I feel we're doing a reasonable job, but sometimes you'd have people go like, oh yeah, I'm more used to a PlayStation, or I'm more used to this, and so I kept pressing the wrong button. And alongside me thinking about that, I also had I was reading a book that said, oh well, by the way, a good thing to do in general, good general practice is, if you can, show the position of the button relative to the other buttons, so then you don't even need to know what it is. And I was like, that's really obvious. Why didn't I do that?
Why doesn't everyone do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think for some games it's probably harder to have the space to do it, but we have, in relative terms, quite a luxurious amount of space for this.
Well, it's a fight between, assumed knowledge of, assumed audience knowledge. People are very... Gamers know how to do this. Yes, they do. Is your entire market gamers? I hope not.
Yeah. Sorry. Ollie's asking what's going on at the bottom of the screen.
Which thing is he talking about?
Well, I assume this over here. I'm so used to tuning this out. So the occlusion system we've got going, which it'll be more obvious to see its intended effect a little bit further down the road, it's still work in progress. So stuff like this, what you're actually seeing is that some white box stuff, which we'll discuss later, that's underneath
also,
here.
The white box stuff isn't set to occlude.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I know designers have we're just blind to white box stuff. I'm like,
so we just make really ugly looking things happen.
Yes.
Don't care.
So yeah, right, exactly. So there's that, but also it has reminded me that the occlusion thing, while actually the effect has got a lot nicer, like close to you, like this, it's nice and soft. There are some culling issues where find a good example. And of course, now I've said that, it's behaving.
Once you get past here, it'll crackers. If it's anything like it was before, as you get towards the waterfall,
so this stuff hasn't changed at all, apart from the prompts, obviously, because it's fine. This, I did do a thing. I really sped this up, and I didn't tell anyone.
I noticed.
I know you couldn't not notice.
You
but I
could not notice. No, I mean, I like it at that speed. It's not the right animation. It actually the animation holds up surprisingly well.
I was going to say that. I mean, look, it's not it's not let's ship with it, but it's not as. Of course, I'm stuck here now. It's not as offensive as I thought it would be. Why can't I move? Bugs. Anyway, yeah, I think it's not too bad. But so, as I said, like, not too much has changed here, because we didn't really encounter people having too much problem with this area. This is starting to look nice now with the occlusion thing. It's obviously, it's still got issues, but I can appreciate, the direction it's heading in, so that's cool. And this is all basically the same. And then something I do know that has changed is... yes, so I remember talking about this before, where normally I don't have to be too... hands-on when I pass things to art. I can just say, this is generally what I'm looking for, and I hand over some white box tiles, and then that happens. And Normally we're in sync enough that, you know, a bit of artistic interpretation is fine. This is one of the few times it wasn't, where actually I'd made this quite deliberately, like up and then down, so you can see, like with our occlusion, you get to see that gap much easier.
Reveals the jump.
Yeah, and Ed had kind of done the exact opposite, and I was like, oh, well, I can see where I should have just told you specifically. But anyway, as it happens, the occlusion thing has got better anyways, so this is less of a problem. But you know, this seems nice to me. We'll just see what happens. You know, it might make no difference. We will see.
I think we know. I don't think it's a controversial solution. Let me put it this way: I don't think we need to test that solution on people to know it works. No. So if this thing that's pleasing art and maybe reveals it quick enough for most people to react, if we get away with it, that's fine. We get pretty and functional all in one, which is the best. Is best.
It is. And so I've noticed, I'm pretty sure, of course, I'm going to curse it now, but I think Rex has fixed the issue we were having with this.
The old jumpy, reachy, flicky aroundy thing.
The weird little shuffle. So that's nice. But the main thing that is making good progress, still not complete yet, but is the whole levers and prompts and things like that. So, for example, the thing we actually shipped in the demo, there was a prompt, but it had no context awareness, so it would just always show on proximity whether you'd already pulled the switch. You could pull the switch was already going, all sorts of things. But now it's so when you get close enough to it, it pops up, and I believe you even have to be facing it, I think, or maybe not. I can't remember, but there's certainly some facing component to it. And also, crucially, when you press it, it moves over once, and then it stops, and then the prompt's not there, and when you press X, it no longer does the use animation, because like a combination of it never stopping spinning and you still being able to do the little prodding use animation, quite rightly made people think, well, this hasn't done yet, but it has. So that's nice. The only thing is, we'll show the other example.
See that
yeah. So Ed wants to wait and see if Ben's going to give him the option to, like, you know, selectively remove the occlusion, because I think he would like to experiment with just turning it off there. But he's like, well, if you don't get that in time for your demo, you can put your ugly tile back.
Great.
And Ed says, I think the trigger volumes for the levers could be a bit more generous. You need to be on top of them before you can use them currently. Yeah, I agree. For the longest period of time, for hilarious but also kind of boring reasons, I couldn't change the size of the volume. It kept being reset by other things. That is fixed now, but I haven't actually gone and changed them. But yes, I definitely want to experiment with that, like how much snap we can allow before it feels too weird. Like inevitably, like, you know, if I'm say here and I press it, well, let's say, okay, for argument's sake, a little bit further, I press it here and it kind of brings me in a bit, or it works from, you know, further away than actually seems possible. I think that's fine. But yes, it should actually work now. For ages it just wasn't changeable. So I still haven't had a chance to do the point of interest stuff, which actually be related to that lever, because it will change depending on if you flicked it or not. And that'll stop the camera looking weird there. It's funny that no one actually really seemed affected by that, but it annoys me a lot. So let's go up here. Nothing has changed here. Though I don't know if you've noticed this. Of course, now I've said it's probably not going to do it. Grabbing this ledge seems really it's really hard. Well, it's not really hard, but it is harder than it should be.
But more to the point, it fails.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's on my list of things to, like, you know, bring up the pad and debug and.
Like, is it the shape? Because the thing is, something the way
hit it from underneath, says Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, the way that I was just about to say, the way the player collides up is different now.
Okay, that's what it is.
ZD.
Yeah, you're right.
Not that I know what the difference is, but there's something weird about colliding up and colliding down, where you used to stop dead and it was a lot more reliable, where now we bounce off things and weird things happen.
I wish I could say some of these times I was doing it deliberately. Most of them I was not.
Yeah, well, those should definitely be grabbing. I've never spotted that one because I've just jumped straight at it.
Yeah, I don't know. Just I always. Well, not always, but since that problem has been introduced, I've always had trouble with that bit. So yeah, this has stayed the same. Only thing to mention, just for completeness, because I can't remember if I mentioned it last time in the stream, is that we've had an old bug creep in where if I'm against the wall like this and I jump, you stick on the way up, which
Sticky Satan
Which is that what it's called?
It was
sucks.
colloquially named that. I think that was its name for the 3 or whatever build. One of the builds, maybe DGX or something.
It's very upsetting.
Well, no, we had a big. Well, at least we know what the answer is now, because we had a big discussion about it at the time on what it should do and how it should work, and whether you should have to pull into the wall and kind of stuff, push into the wall rather.
I think you might have got a bit quieter, by the way, but we'll see.
I've nudged myself back.
Ah, there we go.
Hopefully that's a bit more healthy.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time getting that right, so it's a shame those wheels have dropped off. But at least we already know what right is. So
yeah,
get those wheels back on.
So this is another one of the prompts that, amazingly, this is one of these things I think is so funny when like people are like, oh, game development is so easy. I'm going to make my amazing game in like 6 weeks, and then this has taken forever just to get this to happen, to get this to open, and then this to appear, and then that to open. No matter what state I've come in here and left here and facing here, it's just one of those things where it seems like nothing, but then actually, even that was quite complicated.
Seeing you operate that, do we need like an intermediate grayed out state so that when you operate it, it doesn't disappear and then appear to operate it again?
I'm not sure. I just know that, to be honest, actually for this first one, you probably don't want that to come up so soon. But I know that both states are something that we need to have, because otherwise, it's not clear what it does. Like, well, the situation is like, if you can do it and you are physically capable of doing, you're in that context, it should tell you can do it. And before it wasn't actually capable of doing that. So now it is. But I agree, it's not tuned, but it at least tells you, what you can do.
It's just small stuff, just the way it disappears there in between states is awkward. And that's gonna happen all over the place. So I wonder what the solution for that is to make it look nice. Functionally though, completely fine.
Yeah, it works. And some stuff here is which is good. So this tells you can hide, and when you get in, it doesn't. Again, hardly rocket science, but like, it's something that was missing for various reasons from our last demo. So hopefully that makes it abundantly clear. People kind of got it anyway, but now, we'll know if they'll get it completely without my assistance. And there are also some funny little issues with this. Ed saying, inconsistency with the already open grate just before it, which has no interactivity. It is inconsistent. I'll go back to it in a second. I can just kill these guys, which will show off the other thing. So we need to disable attacking, but again, in terms of getting steps ahead, in terms of context. So now it tells you when you can do it, and it knows when you can do it. And oh no, I thought we fixed that. Sometimes you can still attack them when they're down.
You can just keep bashing them when they're down.
So I think I've noticed. No, interesting. I thought that was fixed. Oh well. But I just want to pick up on something Ed was saying. If I pop back over here. So this one's open and you can't close it. So what I will say about that is it's inconsistent on one level, but my laser focus has been on the prompts, and on that level it's actually correct because you literally can't interact with it, so it doesn't show you anything. So one step forward, but yeah, I agree, it's slightly weird. I know why
we have to serve two masters here, because visually, why does one side have a grate and not the other? But we need it to be open to allow you to get in. And the problem is, if we allow people to kind of close that again, we'll end up with circumstances where maybe we'll just have to be very careful with things. But for that one, I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't allow you to just close it.
Yeah. It's probably fine. I guess what I'm saying is like, the prompt stuff is working as intended. You can't press it, so it doesn't tell you can, but we can change that. I also noticed at least one of these people can still perceive you when they're knocked out, but he stopped doing it now, but he definitely could. Maybe it stopped now. No, here you go. Look, he's still there. He's still seeing me, even when unconscious. Anyway, it's minor, that one, for now. But this is improved, so there are some issues with this. It kind of bumps up and down a bit awkwardly. I saw Keith talking about that. But the point is it exists, and it shows at the right time, and it hides at the right time. And the attacking thing, we don't actually want people to be able to attack now. But that's a minor thing. I want to try, I was talking to Keith about it earlier, just having a, whatever the equivalent of, like a, however we quickly say, yeah, you can't attack right now. Just to kind of close that off completely. So if most people didn't seem to do this, but if people are really determined to attack them, I think we should just visually say like, no, like you can't. And so, but now we've got I don't actually foresee us using the opposite that exists now. The hovering over attack. I mean, maybe, but I think that's less useful. But that was obviously on the journey to getting you can't do this now.
So here's the thing: if we have some kind of relatively cute failure animation,
yes,
and you can sneak up behind someone and you can press that X button, and then we get some VO that talks about how you wish you had something to hit them with.
Yes,
and that's it. Not right now. Okay.
Yeah. And Bren says, "Can you have the left-hand grate hanging off its hinges or something?" Yeah, I think we can definitely do. That's a normal contrivance later on. We can
that's
do that.
Probably the answer to all of the vents and grates and even doors and portcullises. Everything that's a door type thing. We need a broken closed and broken open variant just to sell those things nice and easily.
So just to point out something else that's again, not complete, but is moving towards, a consistent feeling is that, so if players approach this now, you get the little icon. Again, I'm sure Ed will be gnashing his teeth because it's not in quite the right place, but just a little, if you get really on top of it, hey, it's locked, which I'm interested to see if that's enough for people to get this opens elsewhere, you know what I mean? Or if they just think it's locked forever. I honestly, because I'm too close to the game, I don't know, but we'll see. It's better than certainly what it did before, which was nothing. So I think, some people just went, well, what does this do? Does it ever do something? So we'll see. But it's a start. Again, it was one of those things that we felt like it would be a trivial, it just, we'll just add the lock thing to it that we made before. And actually it became this whole thing of as a big pile of assumptions of portcullises will never be unlocked and never do this, so they can never show that thing. And I'm like, well, they might be. But just a little thing just to see if that makes any difference for some people that were quite interested in just bumping off them forever without realizing that it did anything. So we'll come back to this thing on the left a little later, but I'll just finish up on the sort of critical
oh look, you could perfectly see that chest.
I know, right?
What a shame we're not doing that anymore.
It's okay, we're doing something way better.
Yeah, that's true.
So here's an example of how you think you've covered all the cases, but you haven't. So I can open this, and I can close this, and I can open it, and I can go in here, and I can close it, and I can open it. But if I come out here, it doesn't work anymore.
Oh.
And if I go out, and I come back here, and I again.
Huh.
So I guess it's something to do with the auto standing or collision thing, or I don't know. But
yeah, I think something to do with your crouching. Doing something in the crouch state, and then, or changing your standing state. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh well,
but it's over to Rex with a lovely little repro.
Say have fun, Rex. That's
I mean, it's nice because I feel like that one. Okay, I don't know the solution, but it was pretty quick for me to just again with the pad display up, go here you go. Here's how you do it every time. And then Brent's saying, sorry, going back to the door, he's saying my first thought is I need to find the key, and I agree. Right, that is.
But you do. That's the thing.
Yeah, right. This is the thing. I'm interested to see if that is enough. And if it's not, then we maybe do change it to more of something that's like, this opens elsewhere. I always go back. Even I can't remember what it says. Do you remember what it says in Dark Souls? Does it literally say
this door is opened elsewhere?
Yeah, we can always do that. But this, I'll be honest.
This door is opened from another location? Maybe? I don't know. But it's, we're close to.
Yeah, we will see. And I guess the thing is, it was a functional system that we had that had sort of fallen by the wayside. I'm like, well, we definitely need this, so let's bring it back to life, and then we can see if, how people interpret this.
Actually, they do a couple of them in Dark Souls. They have one that opens elsewhere or another area, and then they have one that does not open from this side.
Yeah,
which is, the gift that keeps on giving from Keith, because I didn't notice this playing through Dark Souls, and him and Ed pointed this out, saying, but the door's just a barred grate door. You could just put your arm through and open it from the other side.
Right.
Never noticed.
Exactly.
Never noticed that. Reassuring that when you those kind of gaffes, people generally they don't notice.
Exactly. So here is
for artists.
For those who didn't catch it before, this is my jury-rigged design solution. I'm like, hey, well, if the occlusion isn't here, then I can see this door that I'm just about to open. I noticed why this doesn't work quite so well, because at some point the occlusion is now back on the I don't know how well my mouse cursor shows, but it doesn't show at all for you, Aidan, does it? But anyway, the little what do we call it, the door hop things.
Yep.
So they now do cause occlusion, and at one point I think I or someone requested that they didn't, and then so actually then the whole door pretty much was visible. Minor, but the point is you can hopefully see at least the intention that as you approach the switch lever, rather, you can now see the door that you're going to open, and when you push it, and it opens.
Yep.
And I know Ed again is going to be, because I know they're going on about it today, like it moves, it jumps, like some weird offset on the door, but that sounds like not my problem. But it's all coming quite a long way. Like all the prompts, they're nearly there. I think off the top of my head, the only thing from my list of we got to fix this, otherwise we're not going to learn anything different about people, is just to have the you can't attack prompt, which we nearly have. It's just going to be a single flag on I know you can attack technically, but you don't have the equipment. So we're nearly there with that, and they all look a lot nicer as well. And I should point out as well, because I'm not completely blind to it, I noticed that Ed has gone through and contextualized my completely arbitrarily placed hiding spots with some crates and stuff like that.
With some fellow boxes.
Yeah, the dream team, huh? It's I'm just going to arbitrarily just chuck this object down. And then Ed's okay, well, I guess I can make this make sense. And he does. It looks good.
Not sure about the shadow on the go back to where you were standing so that you're covering it up so that I can't see it. That black shadow. Oh wait, which side of the box is it supposed to be? I don't care which side of the box. It doesn't make sense.
Sorry, what are you talking about?
So to your left, it's either my eyes not. You see the dark part of those crates, or is that? You see, is that this? What is that? Is that the side of a crate? Because if it is, it doesn't make sense. If it's the back of a crate, it's okay. Oh, that's like a cabinet. I get it now. It's fine. It was me. It was me all along.
Okay. So I'm just curious if this guy gets... Yeah, he could say that the door collision for navigation thing got fixed. And yeah, he just hangs out here, and then I can go, sorry, buddy. Boop. But, again, it'll be nice when you can't do that, and it just tells you can't before... you won't have the situation where people are just endlessly trying to hit them in the back of the head.
Some people...
Yes.
Like a third of people. It's interesting.
Yes. Yeah, and I think also... Yes, go on.
One thing while we're here by the hide spots, go and approach the hide spot.
Yes.
Even more. Activate all of its things. Yeah, so the outline, do we need it anymore?
I don't know. Is the honest answer to that. Probably not. I know some people it's very unpopular with. The main thing is it's on my list, but of lower priority than the other stuff. But in the sort of mix, is they need to be consistent, because either all things that are interactive do this, or none of them do.
Well, we made it because it wasn't the hide spots generally looked a bit more too much like background stuff. And now actually that we've done the normal mapping, you've got that classic, old cartoon thing of in advance which object in the scene is going to move because it's the one that's celled and not painted properly. That crate just sticks out now because it is not like the others. And when you walk up to it, it goes, "Hey, this is a hiding spot." So maybe we can get rid of that.
Well, we can try it.
Get rid of that outline. I mean, if we turn it off for this time, and everyone gets it, then we don't need it. Yeah,
I'm not averse to try testing it out. So I won't go too much further this way because, as we were just discussing in the Slack earlier, things have taken a turn, which is fine because in a way I'm actually kind of encouraged because I'm like, well, good, we have temporarily taken the focus off this area to improve the first thing. So the fact that this has gone backwards is like, okay, well, things have changed. So yeah, I'll just go a little bit further just to talk about it a little bit. So that's still, we can't activate that person anymore. Oh, sorry, Bren is just saying something. I see. It's a I'm catching up. I think for some reason, he does have a bit of an extra delay, so it's an extra layer of challenge for me. But I think he's thinking that thing is a weapons rack. Was that the thing you were talking about?
Oh wow, yeah, he's just talking about the outlines now. You are in the past, Bren. Send my regards to Queen Victoria.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Right. The outline we'll see. With a lot of those things, I feel like it's something that we could spend some time tuning later down the road if we discover it is kind of necessary. For example, I've said this with some of the other things we've tested out and tried doing, that a good way of doing it, I think, is you can just fade them over time, right? Like the first one you see, it's say that strength, and then it drops off. Like every time you use one, it drops off by an amount. It'd be one way to do it, but we'll see. I mean, it's easy to experiment with. It can just be turned on and off. So I think I should just for completeness, I don't think the map stuff has changed. It still looks cool, but
still body painting.
Yeah, still body painting.
Controversial terminology.
Yeah, we're just waiting for a few more things here, but it's nice. And I'll just go just a tiny bit further because everything beyond here is crazy town. But so yeah, these guys are not functioning at the moment. You can't smash this anymore. But anyway, beyond there be dragons. So we know that like the deal is, for me, is that up until this point here is like, to be honest, we should just probably hard cut it for the demo. Just be like, nope, you're done now. Because to me, this is the point where most people consistently reached in the amount of time I felt it was sensible to give them. So yeah, I've just very deliberately been like, if it's past this point, I don't care.
Let them see Hester.
Allow them
to run up to here, get up there, see Hester, and then fade to black.
Yeah, you can talk to her and she goes, goodbye.
Nope, none of that for you.
Anyway, so let's go back over this way.
Just to catch up on chat. Bren likes the outline. It would be less necessary if the artwork as a whole didn't look as good as it does. Well, you said it. Actually, not to be awful, self-congratulatory people, but that was the problem, that we couldn't make something that stood out. Everything looked too interesting within the context of making vases and crates. Everything looked a little bit too interesting, and it was hard to distinguish background stuff from foreground. But I think that's solved now.
We found a way. So I think this is the main next thing to talk about, right? The experiments over here.
It is the main next thing to talk about.
So we spoke about this a bit before, and I don't remember what I said exactly, but the general gist was like, oh yeah, this it's like a tingling thing. I was like, yeah, this is just a good place. This feels like the place, and I thought it was a place to actually put the unlock, because hey, that's a tasty thing you want, right? And I was nearly right. Firstly, I should point out, because I only noticed afterwards, why. Apart from the sort of geographical stuff, let's actually hop out the game now.
I was going to say maybe edit a time.
So apart from the literal sort of geographical thing of, hey, it's in this very nice place that intersects all these new areas up here we want to explore, the other reason it really is effective, I don't think was ever deliberate. It's something that just gradually happened as the level built up. But if you look at the way these, the top of these arch things are coming down this way, and the way these stairs are going up, like everything. Is someone sharpening knives next to you?
Oh, possibly.
It's not too bad, but just wonder what the hell it was. So sorry, you've got the stairs coming up here and this going down there, and so that the whole room is basically just pointing to this point over here, which is great, because why this is actually exciting, well, I realised what this should be is because this is a Metroidvania, right? And the main thing that's driving people, we hope, is just pure exploration. So rather than putting... I guess the thing is, this chest here, if you put that there, it's a solution to a problem you don't know you have yet, really. But instead, if you make this look like a sweet, tasty area that you haven't been to, that you want to go to, which is hopefully what you want in the game, you're like, ooh, a new area. In other words, this kind of stuff. Then the idea is that we make this more overt. So you do literally go, I want to get there, but I can't, and it looks so exciting. And then in a way we'll discuss in a minute, you come back round and you'll have the ability, and then you land here and you're like, oh, so I got that thing and that's why I wanted it. So we were like halfway there. It's like it's a good spot, but it's a good spot for like the solution to the problem rather than the actual thing that, helps you do it.
It needs to be the question, not the answer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's a better way of saying it.
I'll just summarize that for you real quick there, Chris.
Yes,
okay.
Nice. Let's swoop right in there. Yes.
So, are we going to talk about what we're going to do then?
Yeah.
To satisfy these vile gods?
Yeah, let's do that. So, there's one other thing I can mention. Well, actually, yes, I can. This would be a good way to do it. I can point out kind of the sort of mic drop thing I did, admittedly, this week, where I was just like, okay, here are the here are the things that are important for this space. And I realised I forgot to provide the link. I will dig it up another time. But there's a guy who he's worked on a lot of Metroid games and a lot of the newer like Metroid Primes and stuff like that. And I believe actually one of the later Halo games, but whatever. He knows what he's talking about. And he's provided an example of how to set these things up, the really nice Metroidvania ways to do it. And what he said is you kind of create this little horseshoe shape where you go, as you say, you have, okay, here's my here's my question and answer, and here's the way you structure them. So long story short, with this, the way that I can see working for this room is that, as I said, like this bit over here where the chest is now, this just becomes the, ooh, I want to get there. This looks exciting, but I don't know how. And then the other important thing is you have another thing where you'd want to come in over here, where you come back into the room in a way that's not obvious when you go through the first time, so that when you come back, you already remember this obvious one which we massively drew your attention to, and you drop back through here and you go, oh yeah, I remember this because I was just here. And it's a really nice little loop that not only sort of you're already pointing in the right direction to keep moving forward, but also by the time you reach where this chest is, you'll already have used the thing a couple of times, so you can kind of feel reasonably confident you've got it. So I basically said, like, yeah, okay, this point is important, and getting back in at this point is important. Beyond that, you need to have the ability when you get there, discuss. And that's kind of where I left it.
Cool. Was the blog post the normal blog post? I can't remember the name of the website. Subtractive Design, was it that one?
Yeah, that's the one.
I'll link that.
I realise I've probably still got it in.
There we go. It's linked for the folks in chat. Part 1. Part 1 of 2 of a supposedly to be continued series, but unfortunately,
I don't think he ever will. So I can actually
continued.
So I can just bring this up just quickly. So this is the only bit of importance, right? This is one of those things where I'm like, yeah, this is nice. So you have this thing that, again, we're trying to emulate because it just makes so much sense, in that you come into a room and you see in a really obvious manner something that's going to take you to a new area, but you can't do anything with it. But you're pretty sure most players will see that. And then you go around this sort of horseshoe and you're like, your only option is to go through this way, and you probably don't notice this one here, which is using the same unlock. So you go and do whatever, blah, blah, blah. In this example, it's a boss, but for us, it's just more exploration.
I was going to ask what that thing saying boss meant.
Okay. Yes, it's a boss. It's true.
It's a boss. It even says so.
I know. But the cool thing is, yeah, which I really do appreciate, is that this here, this shortcut back is so you go, okay, use the ability once, twice, and then the third time is here. So not only, does it get you back really quickly to immediately to a new area, you've got that shortcut, but you've also ensured that people have used it a couple of times. And I spent quite a long time trying to work out our kind of version of that. And yeah, that was the way I came to it. It's like, well, okay, you need to come back in from this side and go out over this side, which is annoying because really, because of the way our movement stuff works, you're going to be doing this kind of slightly strange up and over. And I did spend time drawing horrible scribbles and then realized that I think it's probably worth the pain because that is just so neat, especially since later on we've got this lift here. Well, not later on, but hopefully later game, this lift is still a thing you can use. So this whole area is a place you'll come back to quite frequently. So it just felt right, even though it's going to make this a bit harder. So yeah, that's what you were talking to Ed and Keith about today, I believe.
Yes. So what we discussed is the potential solutions for. Well, there's a little bit more history to this, isn't there? So if you zoom out and frame.
Oh yes, of course.
Bridge of Knives. So we've alluded to the bridge, not the shaft.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yep. That sucker. So this encounter and airlocky ability using room was originally over on the left of where you are right now. You know that bit that we didn't do?
Yeah, I know that bit. We didn't do it.
Yes. So in that, there we go, in that tower. Oh wait, I'm looking at the Twitch thing again.
You fool!
Yeah, they already mentioned.
Giving you the premium stream.
Yep, back on the premium stream. It's okay. So yeah, in there was where we were we'd built an extra tower, and it was awkward to come down, and then there's that awful T thing at the bottom.
Yes.
So this is what we're trying to achieve. So the odd thing is that we're probably going to end up doing that.
Yes.
Anyway, just on the opposite side of the bridge. So
Totally.
pan over to the opposite side of the bridge, that broken tower on the right. What we're going to
This
do
one?
is just pick. Yep, that's the
Yep.
socket. Pick it up and jam it in that shaft. Yeah,
Lovely.
yeah. Turn of phrase. Yeah, we're going to jam it right in there and see what happens. But the idea is that you get your positioning that you want. You'll come at it from the top. And in the bottom of that tower, there'll be a chest, and you'll go down and you'll get the chest, and then you won't be able to get out of that tower without using wall run.
Yep.
And then you'll be able to loop back around.
And somehow over here.
Well, the thing that I haven't talked to you about this, but the thing I'm thinking about doing, if you look at the towers again, and it's probably better to look at the one that isn't broken.
This one.
Yeah. Zoom out a bit because it's got a second floor. So that's
yes.
probably what we're going to use is the top half of that. Something that shape will get reworked into having the chest in it, and then you'll go out and back around and loop around, and you'll go do the wall run, and that'll take you underneath.
Right.
Instead of maybe that's what I'm thinking about right now.
We'll
it'll
see.
have 2 floors on the upper part, and you'll come and do the wall run, and then hopefully having this mausoleum tile set stuff so early on, and will be that interesting thing that you're talking about, just to see. Oh, it's blue over there.
Yeah, this. Yeah, I mean, again, we'll have to see how that goes. But I think the thing is, yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, well, if for whatever reason when we do this doesn't seem interesting enough, then we've kind of failed at a more base level. So we'll have to work on it. But I think that if we, because obviously we've got the occlusion thing, we can do a nice job of sort of planning those reveals, as long as we make it look obviously like, hey, you haven't seen this kind of stuff before. I think that's enough. As I was saying, like how we actually hook it up, we're just talking about, but if we imagine that actually as you're over in this space and you're seeing this little bit here, if it looked more like this, you're like, well, this is clearly different, like there's doors and towers and all sorts. I would hope that would be enough to get people's interest.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's taken a while to sort of get this to work out, but I think finally everyone kind of gets what they want, because at first it's like, well, this place looks the coolest, so we'll make it work over here, and then I'm like, it doesn't
belong there.
It doesn't belong there, and then I'm like, it belongs kind of over here, and then I'm like, yeah, it sort of does, but then if it has to be absolutely here, then art doesn't have the freedom to make it cool. And then, as I said, we realised that, well, no, actually, this needs to be the reveal, and that bit could be somewhere else. And I'm like, oh, well, in which case, I now go from saying it has to be almost exactly here to, as long as it's kind of above this line, I don't care, in a good way. So, and then we realise, it's one of those other situations where we don't want to be too precious, because, even though this is lovely as is, it just looking at it, it looks nice. We're like, well, does this actually have to be where it is right now? And it doesn't, right?
No.
So yeah, we just have to give it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fair amount of work to get it to match up, but it's one of those things that when I saw how it fitted to what we already had and see the reasoning behind this guy's designing it that way, I'm like, yeah, if we sort of back down from this challenge now, it's only going to get harder in the future. And if this is correct, I would like to think, obviously I can never, be this person, but I would like to think that if I played this game and that was our first, real Metroidvania loop, I'd be like, okay, yeah, these guys took the time to make this work rather than just go, we'll just stick some rooms together.
Door,
you can tell.
key.
Yes, right, exactly. If literally the first thing is like, you can't go this way for no reason, and now a key for some reason, it's like, sure, you can do it, and hey, we'll end up doing it somewhere. But for the first one, it's like, yeah, we can't back down from a bit of work.
I mean, to be, and this sounds cynical and mean, but I'm not sorry. But it's the subtle art of convincing the player that it was their idea.
Yeah, totally.
They pass by that and they notice it, and of course we're putting that there on purpose so you notice it. But we want the player to feel as clever as possible. We want them to remember these things, and if they don't remember them, and if they don't go back and go, I remember a place where I could use this thing, then that absolutely, you're completely correct. That's just failure on our part to give them that sort of magical Metroidvania thing that makes you feel clever and like you've got a good memory and like you've got fun new stuff to explore very, very soon in your future. So
it's gonna be fun. So
looking
looks
forward to
like
that.
we got a little bit more time because I'm slightly more pressed for time today, but we can talk a little bit about this, I suppose.
Oh God.
Just a little bit, you know, don't have to, because it's just fun to see how these things come about. So
do we show the things that are on the things? I'm talking obliquely. I'm talking obliquely, Chris.
Can we talk about the thing next to the other thing? No, let's not do that. Because to be honest, at this point, I'm happy to keep this quite high level in the sense that because I want to show how this is going to impact, you know, what we're doing earlier. So, the similar idea, like the wider arc, right, was that this was kind of like, we're not sure, but it kind of goes here. And then we're like, well, what would be nice is a general movement in this direction. To again have that slightly, you know, deliberately harder because it was longer ago, but to have that same, I remember, you know, almost right at the start of the game, I saw this thing that I couldn't get up.
And most people clocked that, didn't they?
Yes.
In the last one.
Yeah.
Everyone who was of the type to rub themselves into corners, or even the ones that only do it initially and then give up, none of them had given up by that point. You know, they all wanted to have a bit of a jump at that one. So hopefully that one sticks. And as soon as they've done that stuff over there, they go, I'm going back to tutorial town.
Exactly.
I've got a wall to run over.
Right. So, you know, you can see that hopefully we're getting this, admittedly, you know, as we said, there's going to be now a bit of a sort of slightly unusual up and over here. But once you've got the unlock, there's going to be this nice flow of, right, well, come back through this stream, you remember, right, and you're going to be motivated for the new stuff. And then, you know, we can guide people. You know, I can give them some options, but, you know, the general flow is towards this. And then hopefully, as you said, people seem to notice it. You can go, great, well, you're kind of over here now. How about you just keep going left for a while and see what's here? So, yeah, I said, like, because we've also got to decide how much we want to say and not say, but also because I think it's, at this point, important to keep it this kind of high level. The general flow is kind of coming together here that you can be like, you can see that, okay, well, you go here, and we've got all this nice stuff, and you can see that, right, you know, we're making use of, we're kind of, I don't know if this is a thing in Metroidvanias. In fact, you know, if I had more time, maybe I will try and look at this. We end up with lots of cool figure eights, and I quite like them, and I wonder if they're common. I feel like they are. But
yeah, I was gonna mention actually that back in the days of yore, when Master was the donkey.
Yes.
There's people who've been watching the stream for a long time might even know what the donkey is, but back when we were doing the donkey, the theory was that you're just casting the player for larger loops each time. You know, you've got this initial loop, and it sends them for a short, tidy loop, and almost like, you know, all of the stuff that people like to lean on, like, can we send them through a big Fibonacci spiral through the map with increasingly sized loops? You know, and that's essentially kind of what we were doing. When I mean, the quests are all penned out. We still got to implement the vast majority of them.
Yes.
But when that early donkey work we did, where they were marked up on the map, actually you could already see that it's like, well, you do a small loop here, and then we cast you out for a slightly larger one, and then we cast you out for a really big one, and at that point you're kind of mid game. And you understand the Metroidvania, and you maybe have all the abilities, or just one super secret special squirrel one left to unlock.
Yes.
And you're having a good time.
And so, yeah, I like the way, you know, you can see that is gradually happening. Like, you know, you've got this flow from tutorial up this way, and you've got this quite large sweeping thing like this, and then you come back this way, and then you've got this quite large figure eight. And, I do like the way it's coming together. And the thing is, this is why, like, you know, I know Ollie has been asking for more stuff to do, and I'm like, I can't yet, because like seeing how this, you know, this first sort of flow of this first unlock and this sort of this figure eight and this structure, I'm like, until I know a bit more about how that works, anything I ask you to do is probably, you know, we just don't quite have enough information, but it's coming now, it's getting there.
It's really the first proper turn of the handle on having a design pipeline, because as we know, everything else we've done with level design has been firefighting ad hoc. We have to do something while we get while we get all of the other systems online, and oh god, we've got all of this art. What do we do? You know, so I've completely lost the point of that. Oh well.
Well, no, yeah, I agree. It's like, no, wait, I think you might have been trying to say is like, you know, a lot of the design work was, you know, it was reactive to like, immediate tasks. It's like, oh, we should probably do this, and we should probably do that, and we should probably do that. It wasn't a considered, measured, well, let's...
I've remembered now, and
Good.
that's half of it. The other half of it is this is now just the archetype for the level design pipeline. Everything else design focused is really going to be stuff that impacts this. So when we get new abilities, how they work, how they function, they're all going to impact level design, but it's not going to change that we've defined now how we gate with wall run, and then we need to gate with ability 2, but that doesn't change the technique of how we're throwing people for loops around the map. So, like you say, once we have this one and we're confident in it, I think to be honest, I think we already know now. One of the things we didn't know before was how big a design brief was. And what we've learned now is the ones that I wrote, too big. too big, which is fine, but we need to focus down on these little moment by moment areas and start building them, start writing the briefs of these things. But hey, we're there. It's working. This stuff is working. It's pushing everything along, and nothing out of white boxing or pulling around what we've already got has really produced anything other than good results. So, hey, hopefully soon we'll be producing lots of design briefs.
Just starting to sort of take a bit of a look at it, which I haven't in a while, and I can see that it's starting to work. But you're right. Everything has been like before has been quite reactive and like just for the next demo or just whatever, and this is like getting towards it's making good strides towards like, no, this is for a game now. So
right.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have been quite deliberate the last couple of weeks in like, when people are talking about other stuff, I'm like, no, I'm just going to do this and then I'm going to do that, because these parts, like, it's building the foundation for heading into next year. So I've been quite deliberate in like, no, just what you say, trying to avoid where we can, just like blind firefighting. It's like, no, like everything is kind of on track. Just want to take my time to make sure we do these bits properly. And the thing is that normally, of course, when you can do that, it's not so bad. Like, it seems like nothing describing how this works now, because the actual solution isn't actually complicated, but it just took like a good amount of time of feeling out the rest of the level and just looking at it and trying a few things and going, no, well, it has to go this way. Which, if we were firefighting, trying to just stick a bunch of stuff together to show it, would not be the case. But it looks good. I think I'm nearly done. The only thing I want to mention is probably what I'm going to do next, which I've been threatening to do for ages, but finally the prompt stuff, because that's been my focus and it's pretty much done now, is to finally go through and do all these point of interests properly, because hey, if you look at these red circles, again, I don't know how well they show up on Twitch, but you can see some areas got some love and some areas didn't. So it's time. I can just nice and neatly go through and just make sure it has a consistent feel to it. I don't need to be honest, add a great deal more. It's just, as I said, it's not consistent. The primary area I can think of, because it's something that fell off towards the end of development, is stuff like, for example, here, where when you're at the bottom and you come up before before you've activated the switch, like it pulls you more towards the switch, and then when you use a switch, it pulls you a little bit more towards the door. That's about it. And of course, this one that has where is it? Not that one. Sorry,
the one that doesn't trigger by the.
Yeah, is there? No, it was there. Yeah, that drives me crazy, because like the camera is just like, no, I'm going to resist and push away as hard as I can. So that's me. Is there anything else?
Nope, I don't think so.
Hooray!
There's been interesting stuff going on around the side of this, but I'm not going to talk about any of it. So.
We've got. I think things are pretty neat. Everything is going well, apart from my webcam deciding to turn off. So
that'll be because you screen shared before you started streaming.
I wonder.
I reckon you can repro that if you do that again.
Computers.
Oh well.
Yes.
Software.
Exactly. So I will have to jump straight to the outro screen. So thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we will be back same time again next week. See you later.